Are you writing awful dialogue without even realizing it? There's a good chance you are, because after reading hundreds of screenplays, from pro-level scripts to first drafts from total beginners, I keep seeing the same mistakes over and over again. A lot of you submitted your own dialogue for me to roast, and a lot of them were making the exact same mistakes that make characters feel totally unrealistic. So in this video, I'm gonna roast a couple of these scripts, show you exactly what's going wrong, and break down how to fix your dialogue so it actually sounds like something a real person would say. Let's jump into the first script, which is Killer Hot Dog by Walter Smith. Fade in, interior cafeteria, night. Joe, mid-chew. I don't understand what you're saying. Nerdy college student Joe Henderson is sitting at a table eating pizza. His equally nerdy girlfriend, Linda Davis, is sitting across from him. Linda is annoyed. You don't understand what I'm saying? Joe swallows. Yeah. Exasperated. I can't believe this. How am I not supportive? First off, cut the parentheticals, especially if it's on the first page like this. Like, yeah, he's mid-chew, but you already say that he's eating pizza in the action here. And I get it. I've done this too. You know, you want the reader to hear how he's eating, and that's just the way you hear it in his head. You know, like he's chewing on pizza. But parentheticals like this just slow the read down. I mean, here you have that she's exasperated while she's saying, I can't believe this. Again, it doesn't really do anything. The very essence of the phrase, I can't believe this, is exasperated. Be sparing with the parentheticals. Only use them when it's absolutely necessary. There was a good example I saw in a recent script that I read. The dialogue was like one character asking another, what's wrong? And the response was, nothing. But then in parentheticals, it said something. That's important there because the parenthetical is actually giving some insight that there's more than meets the eye here. The idea isn't to null and void parentheticals altogether, just to only use them when you absolutely need them. I kind of hate to say this, but almost all of this dialogue is completely useless. If we got rid of all these lines and just came right in with how am I not supportive, we would have the exact same scene. You want to get right to the conflict, the action of the scene. All this feels like it's just trying too hard to be real, but with every line you write, you should be asking yourself two things. Does it contribute to the screenplay, and is it interesting? If the answer to either of these questions is no, you should probably get rid of it or at least change it. Let's keep going. How am I not supportive? Linda is flat out angry now. You don't care about anyone else but me. Okay, see, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Right now, the emotional logic of the exchange is very disconnected. Like, Joe asks, how am I not supportive? Which implies, at least to me, that the argument is about whether he's providing support to Linda. But then Linda says, you don't care about anyone else but me, which that has nothing to do with the question that he just asked. It's a completely separate idea that he's selfish towards others, not that he's necessarily unsupportive towards her. These lines feel like two totally different conversations. Joe's trying to understand his role in her frustration, but Linda's response shifts the focus to how he treats other people. If the intent is to show that Joe is self-centered and that Linda's growing resentment stems from this like pattern of selfishness, you might have him say something around that. For example, instead of how am I not supportive, Joe could say something more along the lines of, like, what, so now I'm selfish? If that was what he said instead, then the characters are actually engaged in the same conversation, not just two people talking at each other. Shelley agrees with me. Who cares about what Shelley thinks? Linda, flustered. This is exactly my point. Parenthetical alarm. There it is again, guys. She faceplants the table. Linda, tearfully, she's my best friend. All right, this one isn't as bad, but again, is it necessary? Linda looks up at Joe. She's trying to hold it together. Linda, what? Joe kneels to her beside the table and starts to take out a ring. Wait, what? Linda, you are the most special person in the world to me. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. May I have your hand in? Okay, wait, where did this come from? I don't know if Joe just has zero emotional intelligence or if he thinks that, like, his life is a sitcom or something. Proposing right here? What? All right, let's break this down. So Linda is clearly upset. She's crying. She just tearfully told Joe that he disrespected her best friend. And then he gets down on one knee. I mean, technically speaking, the proposal lines themselves aren't bad. On their own, they're what you'd expect someone to say when popping the question. But contextually, This is a wild tonal shift. I mean, we just jump from I'm hurt and emotionally raw to let's spend forever together. If Joe was being intentionally impulsive, like if that was an established part of his character, it could work, but show more of that. Maybe he's panicking, like he thinks that if he just does this, then it'll fix everything. If that's the case, lean into it. Make it awkward. Make the audience feel the desperation and honestly cluelessness that Joe has with emotions. But right now, it just feels like an accident. Like the proposal just kind of popped out of nowhere. There's no emotional through line here. Like if you want to keep the proposal, fine, but you have to earn it. Either build Joe up as someone who just catastrophically misreads emotional situations, which honestly could be kind of hilarious, or rework the argument so that it feels like a breaking point where he's just playing the last possible card that he has. Otherwise, it's just like, Linda, I'm in pain. Joe, would eternal commitment fix that? Let's see where this goes now. You know what? I can't even. I just can't with you. She pulls out her cell phone and starts dialing. Are you serious? Do you have any idea how long I prepared for that? A dial tone is coming from Linda's phone. She snaps at Joe. What in the world would make you think that this is an appropriate time to ask me about that? Well, this is a date. Voice from phone. Some date. Okay, just a small note there. Instead of saying voice from phone, just say voice OS. We'll get the idea. Joe frowns at the phone in Linda's hand. Shelly? Interior locker room, night. Cheery cheerleader Shelly is talking on her cell phone. Hi, Joe. I'm just getting out of cheer practice, so I might sound a little winded. I don't know why, I just started talking like Michael Jackson. Interior cafeteria, night. I don't care. Linda rolls her eyes at him. Shelly is packing up her cheerleading gear. Well, I'm afraid that I do, so you're just going to have to deal with that. What seems to be your guys' issue? Okay, so I'm a little lost in the dynamic here. I mean, the marriage proposal in the previous scene was already pretty abrupt. And now we go from that moment, arguably one of the most emotionally intense in a relationship, to Linda calling up her best friend mid-fight. That's the part I'm struggling with. If I'm Linda and I just got proposed to, albeit in a very, very horrible way, I'm overwhelmed. I'm annoyed. Is my first move really to dial up fucking Shelly? Wouldn't I at least want to process this? I feel like I wouldn't just walk away and be like, oh, hang on, let me just conference in my best friend real quick. It just feels like it's a plot device to bring Shelly into the scene. I'd be more on board if there was some context, something that justifies this. Maybe earlier they were on the phone and Shelly accidentally got disconnected. And then I wasn't really a fan of the way Shelly speaks. Well, I'm afraid that I do, so you're just going to have to deal with that. It just sounds very predictable, it's just a blanket response that you could just put in any screenplay. It doesn't really add any oomph to her character. But what really pulled me out was, what seems to be your guys' issue? Is she a couples therapist now? That's such a strange way to phrase it for someone who's supposedly Linda's best friend. I mean, she's missing any specificity that would make her pop. Who is she in this relationship? Is she fiercely protective of Linda? Is she just in love with the drama? Right now, she just feels very neutral. You know what a big thing is so far? It seems like in your head, you understand your characters. You know who they are, what they want, and that's great. But what's missing is your connection to that on the page. When you're writing characters, you don't want to be thinking about the lines they're saying. You shouldn't be typing every line that you write with some frame of oh, what's a great line that I can put in this space? And I struggle with this too. Instead, you should just be feeling it. Put yourself in all of your characters' shoes at every moment and really ask yourself, if I was in their position, how would I be feeling? What would I be thinking? What would I say? And use your feelings there to guide your dialogue. Joe is selfish and doesn't care about anyone but his girlfriend. Joe puts his head in his hands. Why is that a problem to you? Shelly slings her backpack over her shoulder. Oh, so he admits it, I see. It's Joe's turn to be flustered now. I'm going to stop with this accent I'm doing for Shelly. I don't know why I'm doing it. It's Joe's turn to be flustered now. She's my girlfriend and I want to marry her. Why would I be thinking about anyone else right now? Because you don't want to be a total jerk. Yeah, you're a jerk. She exits the locker room still on her phone. Joe is trying to hold it together. I'm not a jerk, you stupid cheerleader. All right, come on. These two are supposedly on the brink of marriage. but they're talking like they're in middle school. You're a jerk. No, you're a jerk. Really? I'm not trying to be mean, but, well, I am because it's a roast. But this back and forth, it just feels shallow. Like Joe just proposed. Linda is clearly upset, and now Shelly on speakerphone from a locker room is chiming in with these kindergarten level comebacks, and not in a good character-driven way. Like Shelly's line, yeah, you're a jerk. It doesn't give us anything. I mean, she's barely contributing to the conflict. She's just echoing whatever Linda says. Literally like a cheerleader, actually. And then Joe's reaction, I'm not a jerk, you stupid cheerleader. Is this supposed to be funny? Is he just out of things to say? It needs to go harder. Right now, it just feels out of place. There's a difference between a character being emotionally overwhelmed and a character sounding like they're yelling across a cafeteria in like a John Hughes movie. Also, if I was Joe, I would have hung up the phone at this point. He just proposed. This is supposed to be a major turning point in both of their lives, and instead, he's arguing with a cheerleader about whether he's a jerk. If the goal here is to show Joe unraveling, you can do this. Just give it more emotional weight. Like, maybe he's crumbling from the pressure of Linda and Shelly getting up on him. And maybe that's just what you were going for. But it's not there. Like, I'd want to see him stumbling over his words. Maybe he starts cursing one of them out. But right now, it kind of just feels like everyone's name-calling just to keep the scene going. Shelly is walking down a hallway. Why would I ever think that? The fluorescent hallway lights flicker on and off, startling her. Huh, that was weird. Joe, you were so critical of people all the time. I'm not so critical. You're always on to me about my fingernails. She's holding up her untrimmed, unembellished claws. At least file them into points. They serve no purpose if you just let them grow and that's it. One thing, chill with the exclamation points. I do this a lot too, so I get it, but you don't want every line of dialogue to have an exclamation point. People will be able to tell from the dialogue that they're having an argument with each other. You let the actors decide where the exclamation points go. To sum all this up, this is an intriguing story. It is. I like the setup, and that last bit with Shelly's lights flickering tells me this is going somewhere dark, at least I think. But I just wasn't feeling any of it. You know, these characters, they're not leaping off the page. Like, if this was filmed as is, it would be very cringy, I'm sorry to say. Like, again, this is a roast. I'm just trying to guide you in the right direction, though, because I don't want you to look at the lines themselves when you work on your dialogue. You need to get out of your own head. Instead, I want you to put yourself in your characters' heads. You know, let them write the dialogue for you. Quentin Tarantino always talks about how when he's writing characters, he just listens to them speak, and then he just writes it down. The thing there is just to release any control you think you have over the dialogue. Whatever comes to you, whatever you feel like your characters want to say, just let them say it. Don't sugarcoat it with angst about whether or not it's a good line, because there are no good lines. There's just lines that your character would truly say, and then lines that they would never truly say. Anyway, let's take a look at the next one. This is called Hoshea by Victory O. And here's some context that we were given. Michael's girlfriend just broke up with him ahead of this operation. In this high-altitude military scene, Captain Michael and his effeminate, sharp-witted co-pilot Corey are mid-flight in a bomber aircraft preparing to drop bombs on a target. After the successful bomb drop, they joke about adding balloons to the bombs, poking fun at the absurdity of war. As they prepare to return home, Corey tries to invite Michael out, to a pageant, to drinks, but Michael keeps shutting him down. Eventually, Corey confronts the emotional wall, hinting at a lost love from Michael's past. Hinting at a lost love from Michael's past. All right, let's see. Okay, are you kidding me? All right, like, I don't want to be mean, but you didn't even format this properly. Like, why is the dialogue like that? It should be centered. Come on, you send this to someone, they are going to put it down within 2 seconds of flipping over the first page. Interior, bomber plane, day. The cockpit hums with a low, steady roar. Michael, 32, sharp-eyed but with a hidden weight behind his eyes, adjusts the controls. His movements are precise, almost too controlled. Corey, 30, flamboyant, effeminate, but skilled, monitors readings from the left wing seat. Tension hangs in the cabin, thick and unspoken. Michael, checking the screen, turning a dial. 5 miles to target. Corey, flick switches. Bomb wings, check. Michael, check. Michael leans into his headset mic, jaw clenched tighter than needed. Airbase, this is Captain Michael, ID Cat 504. Do you copy? Cat 504, this is Airbase Tower 8. We read you. 2 minutes till the payload drops. Target locked. Code 4 engaged. Ground tower's hot at 12 o'clock. Do you copy? Have fun, pilots. Kill those bastards. Copy. Copy. So far, there's not much to this. It doesn't really tell us anything about the characters themselves, but I get it. You know, it's setting the scene, getting us into this military operation they're running, so it's not the end of the world. You just might want to get into the real meat a little bit quicker. Like, maybe reduce this to 2 or 3 lines. Ready to claim that trophy? Smirks. Speech is already written. They share a short chuckle. That kind of echoes off tension. Michael hits the release. Bombs away! A thunder of distant explosions rumble from below. Corey, deadpan. You forgot the balloons. Michael, the what? Corey, are you kidding me right now? Michael gives him a confused, scrunched face. Yikes. 20 bombs and not a single balloon? That's cold, man. Okay, so I get that this is supposed to be a moment of dark humor, you know, like a little release after the tension of dropping bombs. But I'll be honest, I wouldn't have gotten the joke if you didn't first tell me in the description that this was poking fun at the absurdity of war. Right now, it just feels like Corey is talking about balloons out of nowhere. It doesn't feel like a clever metaphor about the absurdity of war. It just feels random because we have no idea. You know, it just feels like noise. Also, I only knew he was joking because of the deadpan parentheticals, but ideally, I should be able to feel the sarcasm or absurdity just from the dialogue itself. Like, if you have to explain the tone for the line to work, it probably isn't there yet. If the goal here is to show Corey making some kind of dark joke, like, wow, we just dropped 20 bombs and treated it like nothing, then I want you to lean into that. You know, make the subtext sharper, build the tension more, and then have him cut through it with something that's clearly ironic. You've got a great concept, but it needs clearer context and sharper delivery to land. Metaphors are never going to work unless they're anchored in the scene and clearly connected to the characters. Michael into Mike. Hey boys, this is your captain speaking. Great work sunbathing those bastards. Next time, let's toss in some balloons for our lady here. She loves a festive execution. Copy? Bombardier. I don't know how to pronounce that. Bombardier to pilot, copy that. Whatever Her Majesty desires. Corey, grinning, flipping his hair. Tailwigs, all of you. All right, here's the deal. We're 2 pages in and I still have no idea who these guys are beyond like surface level little traits. Like, yeah, they're pilots. Yeah, Corey's gay. That's not character. Right now, Corey's only defining trait is his sass. You know, he just feels like an archetype. And Michael, he's controlled and he drops a bomb with a tight jaw. That's not depth or personality. That's just another stock military character. I'm not saying you need to dump their backstories on page 2, but there should be more than quippy banter and one-liners if I'm going to care about them. There's potential for complexity here, but right now, the lines feel like placeholder dialogue. Give them wants. Give them fears. You know, you don't need this 10-page monologue, but just some flicker. Like, you know, what does Corey want out of this moment besides screen time? What does Michael believe about war? Your characters aren't defined by their jobs or their quirks. They're defined by what they want, what they believe, and how they behave when someone challenges them. So far, Corey is gay sass, and Michael is stoic pilot. Give us more. Give us people, not just roles. Home sweet home. Home sweet home. Let's go see a movie. No. I have 2 tickets to the Miss World pageantry. It's going to be hell no. What is wrong with you? Fine. Five's wine room? Pinot? Dim lighting and touch of jazz? Still no. Come on. We just pulled off a major op. You need to breathe. Definitely not your air. It's oxygen, my man. I just improved its fragrance. You need to live a little, Michael. So this section is kind of dragging. Not because of the length, but it's very repetitive. Like, it's just this loop of, let's do this. No. Okay, how about this? Well, still no. Oh, come on. Nope. This back and forth, it's not going anywhere. Like, it's just spinning in place instead of moving the scene forward. This is where dialogue is different from real conversation. Because in real life, yeah, people will repeat themselves. They're going to belabor the same point over and over. But in dialogue, each line needs to escalate tension or shift the dynamic. Otherwise, it all just sounds like filler. Just remember this rule of thumb. If you can cut a line and nothing about the character or the story changes, you probably need to get rid of them. And then he almost does verbatim repeat himself. You need to breathe. You need to live a little. Like, semantically, yeah, they're different lines, but they're both hitting the same note. One of those could probably go, or you could just rewrite it to offer more. Like maybe Corey gets more personal. Like you're not even living anymore, Michael. You're just surviving. Something like that. Here's the bigger issue. Corey still doesn't feel like a real person. So far, his identity boils down to he's flamboyant. You know, like a couple wine bar suggestions and witty one-liners. That's not character. It feels like you're relying on tropes like pageants, Pinot, sass, but it's not telling us anything underneath. Like, why does Corey joke around like this? Who is he? What's his demon? Let us see Corey's edge. You're clearly going for a sharp, bantery dynamic, and that's great. But real banter still needs to reveal something. Every line of Corey should tell us either what he wants from Michael or what he's hiding. Until we have some more depth, it just feels like Corey is performing for us. You need to live a little, Michael. You think I don't want to? Beat. Corey quiets. Michael stares out the window. The sky reflects in his eyes. Vast. Empty. You still thinking about her? Michael doesn't answer. His hand lingers too long on a dial. You know the best things are in the skies. I fly better broken. Okay. I see what you're going for here. You're finally reaching for something emotional, and I respect that. So you want to crack Michael open a little, right? But again, it doesn't really land. Let's start with Corey, all right? Because he says, you're still thinking about her. But why does he say this? I mean, from the way the earlier lines are written, I feel like Corey already knows Michael is thinking about her. It's obvious in the way Michael shuts him down and gets quiet. So the line doesn't feel like something he'd actually say. It just sounds like a line that you, the writer, just inserted to set up a dramatic moment and give some exposition to the audience. And it just kind of comes off as like forced melodrama. Like you just tried to think of lines on their own. Like, you know the best things are in the skies. I fly better broken. I'm not trying to insult you. Okay, I keep saying that, but it's a roast. Like I guess I am insulting you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. I'm insulting these people. Look, I get it. They feel poetic. And on their own, maybe they even kind of read cool, but they don't feel earned. You know, they don't feel like they're coming from the character. It just feels like you pause and ask yourself, what would be a deep line to say here? And then you just typed it in. But that's not how it works. The best dialogue doesn't come from brainstorming what would sound cool. It comes from inhabiting the character. You know, you have to become Michael, become Corey, sit in their heaviness. What would they say? Not what sounds smart on paper. If you can tap into that and stop trying to write a scene that sounds good and instead feel what your character is feeling, the dialogue will come. And honestly, if I could give one piece of advice to any screenwriter, it wouldn't be about structure or format or even voice. It would be this. Your job isn't to write great lines. Your job is to feel. Empathy is your greatest tool. Use it. Let it guide every line you write, every beat, every silence. Because if you can do that, your screenplay will write itself for you, and it will be something that people actually respond to. I hope that some of these tips helped you guys think about your own dialogue and how to fix it moving forward. I'm going to be doing another video where I review your dialogue. So what I want you to do is suggest a scene in your screenplay based on everything I talked about in this video. The key point being try to feel instead of force. Rewrite it from that perspective and then send it to me. I'll be happy to break your heart. To send it to me, click the link down below. But maybe dialogue isn't your only issue. Maybe you struggle with all of the general nuances of screenwriting, whether this means storytelling, character dynamics, or plot structure. You just can't tie everything together into a coherent story. If you want help doing this, check out this video here while I'll break down all of this in depth.